Mark and Sarah. To anyone who knew them, they were the perfect couple. College sweethearts who had navigated the ups and downs of their 20s together, finally settling into a comfortable life in a quiet suburban neighborhood. Their house was a home, filled with laughter, shared dreams, and the sweet scent of Sarah's famous chocolate chip cookies. Mark, a software engineer, cherished their routine. He loved the way Sarah's eyes would light up when he came home from work, the comfortable silence they could share, and the inside jokes that had accumulated over a decade. He truly believed their love was a fortress, impenetrable and everlasting. He thought he knew everything about her, every hope, every fear, every beat of her heart. But he was about to discover that a decade of love could be shattered by a single casual glance at a screen. It was a Tuesday, a day as ordinary as any other. Mark got home a little earlier than usual, a small bouquet of Sarah's favorite daisies in his hand. No special occasion, just a simple gesture to see her smile. He walked in, calling her name, but the house was unusually quiet. He found her asleep on the couch, her phone resting on her chest, screen still lit. A book was open beside her, but it seemed she'd drifted off mid-scroll. Mark smiled, a wave of affection washing over him. He leaned in to gently wake her, his eyes casually flicking to the phone. And that's when he saw it. A message notification at the top of the screen. The name was Alex, and the preview text was just a few words, but they were enough to stop Mark's heart cold. "Last night was amazing. Can't stop thinking about you." Mark physically recoiled, as if he'd touched a hot stove. His breath caught in his throat, and the daisies slipped from his numb fingers, scattering across the floor. Alex? Who was Alex? He searched his memory, frantically trying to place the name. A colleague of hers? A friend from her yoga class? No, the name was completely unfamiliar. And the message? It wasn't ambiguous. It wasn't friendly. It was intimate. It spoke of a shared secret, a stolen moment. Last night. Last night, Sarah had told him she was working late on a big project, that she'd be home after he was asleep. She had kissed him goodbye that morning with a tired smile, complaining about her demanding boss. Was it all a lie? The thought was a physical blow knocking the air from his lungs. He looked at Sarah, sleeping so peacefully, looking so innocent, and a chasm opened up between them. Suddenly, the woman he had loved for 10 years was a stranger. His mind was a chaotic storm of denial, anger, and profound sadness. This couldn't be happening. Not to them, not to his Sarah. He wanted to shake her awake, to demand an explanation, to scream until his throat was raw. But a cold, sickening dread kept him frozen. What if it was true? What if confronting her meant hearing the words that would officially end their world? He quietly backed away, his heart hammering against his ribs. He couldn't face her. Not yet. He needed proof. He needed to understand. The idea felt like a betrayal in itself, but the alternative, living with this poisonous uncertainty, was unbearable. He slipped out of the house, got in his car, and just drove. The innocent suburban streets now feeling like a cruel parody of the life he thought he had. The message replayed in his mind, each word a separate stab of pain. Last night was amazing. A night he had spent alone, trusting her completely. The next few days were a special kind of hell for Mark. He moved through his life like a ghost, a hollow shell of the man he was just days before. At work, he stared blankly at his computer screen, lines of code blurring into meaningless symbols. At home, he put on a performance, forcing smiles and making small talk, all while a silent scream echoed in his soul. Every touch from Sarah, every "I love you," felt like a lie, a twist of the knife. He watched her, studying her every move, searching for cracks in her facade. He noticed how she guarded her phone now, angling it away from him. He saw the new, almost manic energy she had, a brightness in her eyes that he now suspected wasn't for him. The late nights at work became more frequent. The excuses became more elaborate. Each one felt like another layer of deceit, burying him alive. The breaking point came a week later. Sarah announced she was going on a work retreat for the weekend, a mandatory team-building event in the mountains. The lie was so blatant, so poorly constructed, it was almost insulting. Mark felt a surge of cold fury replace the suffocating sadness. This was it. He couldn't live in this state of suspended agony any longer. He needed the truth, no matter how ugly. While she was packing, humming a cheerful tune, Mark's hands were shaking as he installed a tracking app on her phone. A desperate act from a desperate man. He hated himself for it, but the need to know had consumed him. As he watched her drive away, waving cheerfully from the driver's seat, he didn't feel sadness. He felt a grim, chilling resolve. The charade was over. He spent Saturday tracking her location. The dot on the map didn't lead to a mountain resort. It led to a chic, modern apartment building in the city center, a place he'd never seen before. It stayed there, unmoving, for hours. The confirmation was a bitter pill, but it was also a strange kind of relief. He wasn't crazy. He wasn't imagining things. This was real. That evening, fueled by a mixture of adrenaline and heartbreak, he drove to the address. He parked across the street, his car a dark confessional in the pouring rain. He just sat there, watching the building, the rain on his windshield blurring the lights into watercolor streaks, mirroring the tears he refused to let fall. He didn't know what he was waiting for. A part of him still hoped for a rational explanation, a cosmic mistake. But deep down, he knew. Around 10 o'clock, the lobby doors opened. And there she was. Sarah. She wasn't alone. A man had his arm wrapped around her waist, and they were laughing, their heads close together. He leaned down and kissed her, a long, passionate kiss under the soft glow of the lobby lights. It was a scene of perfect intimacy, a scene that should have belonged to Mark. The man was tall, stylish, and confident. He was everything Mark felt he wasn't right now. Seeing them together, seeing the easy affection and the smile on Sarah's face, a smile he hadn't seen in months, was like watching his own heart being ripped out and stomped on. The final, brutal confirmation. The denial shattered, the hope extinguished, leaving only the raw, gaping wound of betrayal. Mark drove home in a daze. The house, once his sanctuary, now felt like a mausoleum, a monument to a dead marriage. The photos on the walls, capturing years of happy memories, now seemed like cruel jokes. He walked through the silent rooms, touching the objects they had chosen together, each one a painful reminder of the lie he had been living. The anger had subsided, replaced by a profound, hollow emptiness. The love he had held so sacred had been a mirage. He spent the night on the couch, the same couch where he had first seen the message that started it all. He didn't sleep. He just stared into the darkness as his world, piece by painful piece, crumbled around him. When Sarah returned on Sunday evening, tanned and beaming, she found Mark sitting in the living room, surrounded by packed boxes. Her smile faltered, a flicker of confusion in her eyes. "Mark, what's going on? Why is everything packed?" she asked, her voice laced with a rehearsed innocence that now made his stomach turn. He didn't raise his voice. He didn't scream. He just looked at her, his eyes devoid of the love she had taken for granted for so long. "I know, Sarah," he said, his voice flat and steady. "I know about Alex. I know about the apartment. I know the retreat was a lie." The color drained from her face. The mask fell, revealing panic and guilt. For a moment she tried to deny it, but the look in Mark's eyes told her it was pointless. The game was up. The truth, ugly and devastating, was finally out in the open, and their unbreakable love was nothing but rubble at their feet. The silence that followed was heavier than any argument, marking the final, heartbreaking end of their story. If you or someone you know is going through a tough time, please remember that help is available. You can connect with people who can support you by calling or texting 988 anytime in the US and Canada. In the UK, you can call 111. These services are free, confidential, and available 24/7. Reaching out is a sign of strength. Thanks for watching.